Hello, 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 and welcome to Boss Radio Live with NJ, where he is the boss of me. I'm excited about today's guest. It's going to be an interesting conversation. It always is when we're talking about any form of exercise, right? Because that's a whole other thing. But excited for my guest today. I have Lesley Logan with us today. And so we're going to talk about Pilates. And I have a funny story about that, but I'll tell her about that in a moment. But you guys, in case you have never heard of Lesley, here's a little bit about her. Lesley Logan, certified Pilates teacher, breathwork and mindset coach, and founder of OnlinePilatesClasses.com, a free online catalog of Pilates exercise tutorials where you can also find weekly Pilates classes and workshops. Since 2008, she has run multiple studios, trained hundreds of people to become Pilates teachers, and taught thousands of students. Lesley hosts a podcast, Be It Till You See It, and travels the world leading Pilates retreats. Lesley believes that self-care requires both mindset and ability, and loves helping people do life better, ditch perfection, and take messy action. All right, you guys, welcome Lesley Logan. Hi, Lesley.
Oh my gosh, NJ, that is actually so fun to watch. I love to watch all the my bio.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm excited to have you. So the funny story, and it was kind of embarrassing for me, but that's okay because I'm a nut. And so, so I was talking about Pilates on just not. I wasn't even talking about you, but I was just talking about it with somebody, or they were talking about it with me, and so they started asking a question. It was like a class or something that I was in, and I thought, oh, a great answer to that is Pilates, but I didn't say Pilates. I was like, pilots. And it was like a Zoom meeting. The entire Zoom meeting was quiet. And it was like time was suspended for a second. And then somebody was like, do you mean Pilates? I was like, yeah, that's it. I was like, why did I say? I was like, okay. I was like, I have to remember not to do that and this is recent. This is recent. I was like, I have to remember not to do that when I have you on. So I have been consciously saying Pilates, Michelle, Pilates.
Oh
So
my goodness, I love that story so much because but here's the thing, like I've heard that before. And also, like when I discovered Pilates, I didn't even discover it. Somebody invited me to a class. I'm like, that is some infomercial stuff. That doesn't work. Like you just kind of like write, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't integrate into your brain as what it is. But I do have a friend who calls it Pilates. The way she says it, Pilates, and I'm like, the guy was German.
like I say, that's still better than what I said. It was funny. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go sit down and not talk for the rest of the session.
Oh my gosh. That's great. I love that. So I love that you're a human being, and I believe that like that
True.
makes. I mean, probably the best laugh people had all day.
Probably. I had to laugh about it myself, so I'm all good. I'm good with it. So if I say that today, you'll know.
I know what we're talking about. We're
Okay.
talking. Don't worry, I won't even correct you. We'll just keep going.
So since we started on this road, the first question I want to ask you to kind of explain to my audience, what is Pilates?
Yeah, that's such a great question. The simplest way to answer what Pilates is just that it's a strength-based workout that's designed to balance your imbalances. It stretches what's tight, it strengthens what's weak, and it's going to work your whole body from head to toe at every workout. So that is like the simplest answer. Now, is there apparatus that you can use, equipment? Yes. Can you do as a class or as a private? Absolutely. Do you need to go into a studio? No, you don't. So like you can kind of do it any which way you want, but it basically is a strength-based workout that's going to balance your imbalances.
Awesome. And my understanding, if I'm understanding correctly, because I do not do Pilates, hence my wrong pronunciation. um, is it based on some strengthening of the core?
Yeah. So
Okay.
So when Joseph Pilates created his method, he really did it as like just body weight. So you on a mat, that was it, right? Um and what he believed was that if you actually could connect your muscles to your center, and in Pilates, we don't believe your center is like just your abdominals in the front. Your center is actually from your shoulder girdle to your pelvis. So basically, all the muscles that can actually help stabilize your axial skeleton. Your axial skeleton is like tailbone to the crown of your head, right? So if we can actually stabilize that, then we can challenge that stabilization with moving your arms or moving your legs. And so everything starts from the core first. So Pilates is not an ab workout, which is what people think when they hear core. Oh, when I do core days, I'll do Pilates. You can actually do Pilates every day. And we're not going to do sit-ups specifically where it's just activating the core. We're actually going to literally try to work your inner thighs and your outer thighs where your shoulders connect to your back while moving from your center, while moving from your core. And your core muscles, by the way, go all the way to your back, everyone. It's the sides of your body. So it's not just the abs that we see on a cover of like a magazine.
Wow, that's great information, actually. So I understand that because you were just talking about, how you got introduced to Pilates, but I understand like you kind of made fun of it.
Oh, 1000%. Well, don't we like fear what we don't know? And also like it, um, it had this like I only saw it on infomercials. So I just saw like these like infomercial things. And like, I was just like, people sell things that don't work on infomercials. That's like what I thought. Right. And I'm sure they still do, but there's still things that work really well. I love my air fryer. So, so, like, so I really doubted it, but I wanted a friend. And so here I was, a retired athlete. I was a runner. So I had been to the gym. I also had certified as a trainer. I had not started training people, but I was going down that route. And this girl invited me to a class and I was like, okay, well, I want a friend. I'll go. Y'all, I felt parts of my body I never felt before. So even though I've done all the sit-ups in the world, I've done all the things. I was like feeling parts of my center like deep down inside that I never felt before. And I was like, what is this? And I left feeling so good. I didn't leave feeling like, oh my God, I gotta go take a shower. I gotta go lay on the couch. Like I left feeling like I could take on the world. I could go for a hike. So it like had kicked off the dopamine we all want from a workout, but it didn't leave me depleted. So I could like go on and do my day. And that's how I fell in love with it. And it really has changed everything. I grew up with my mom always saying, stand up, pull your shoulders back. And now people are just like, wow, you have such amazing posture. I'm like, I don't even think about it. Like, I don't have to think about it. My core holds me up. It's so amazing, but it really did change my life. And I resisted it big time.
Wow. But that's amazing to hear how you kind of got from that point to, I mean, now look at everything that you're doing. And we're going to talk about some of the things that you have been doing. We mentioned it a bit in the intro. But so now you're this, instructor who has instructed thousands of people in Pilates. So I think that's amazing. So you kind of started on this path. And I was thinking when I was listening to you, like, I probably really need to do Pilates because of some of the benefits that you were kind of talking about.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be like, why would somebody want to do it? But I mean, sounds
Yeah.
like it makes you feel good.
Yeah, it's gonna
Period.
make
But
you
what
feel
else?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
so here's the thing, like, movement is the best thing we can do for our bodies. Our bodies were designed to push and pull, go hunting, gather. Like, they were not designed to sit in chairs, put shoes on, and sit in front of a computer. Our spine is actually not designed to sit on. It's not like we're supposed to be squatting like it's hot. Like, that's what it wants to do. Doesn't want to sit in a chair. So the reasons to do Pilates are so that you can actually do the other things you care about in this life. So I actually, a lot of people get a little obsessed with Pilates. They get a little perfectionisty about it, and you can. That's one way to do it. For me, it's like, how do I help you chase after your children? How do I make sure that you feel good at work? How do I make sure that when you're on a stage speaking, you feel like the most confident version of yourself? It's not about actually changing your body in any way. It's actually about like, how do we make sure you have the energy and the strength to keep up with the life that you want to have? Now, that isn't always the most sexiest motivation, because some people are want to feel the burn, or they want to lose actual tons of pounds, and that's fine. Like those desires are warranted. But my job, my goal for people is like, how do I make sure that whatever size you are, whatever body shape you are, whatever you want to do, you can do that without pain and with tons of energy and like a zest for life. And so when you incorporate Pilates into whatever you're doing, so it's not Pilates or, it's Pilates and, whatever you're already doing, you're going to notice whatever those things are get better. You have more energy, able to do it, less aches and pains, right? I used to be a runner, and I quit running for a long time. I decided to pick it back up again. I was a little worried because I always had injuries. So here's a teenager with injuries running. So I was a little worried being in my 20s, getting back into running. But I was doing Pilates at the time, and I actually ran a marathon and had no aches and pains the next day. Was a little sore, a little tight. Yeah, my feet were, my quads were, but like I could still walk up the stairs. I could still do life. And so I actually became a Pilates instructor for runners, and all of my runners ended up at the Boston Marathon. They were elite runners already, so I didn't get them there. They probably could have gotten there on their own, but they got there without injury. And so that is another reason to do Pilates. It's like, what is it that you want to do? How do we prevent you from not being able to do that? Well, we have to strengthen your core, teach your body to work from your center. And then you can do all those other things without having to think, oh, I got to make sure that my knees are over my second toe when I do this thing.
Wow. All of that is actually very important because to me it sounds like quality of life.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
increases helps increase your quality of life. So I love that because that's,
Well,
very
like the
helpful,
point.
makes you feel good about your
Yeah.
day, as you're going about. So this, I guess it can just be part of self-care,
Mm-hmm. It
and
is.
that's what I think about. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm so sorry to cut you off. Um, I think like any movement you want to do is your self-care, but some of the things we love to do are not actually awesome on our bodies. Like so having something that cares for your body so that you can do those things is really important.
Yes, yes, definitely. And so for people who may have like injuries and things like that, how does this really work with that?
Yeah, so if you're already in a state where you have an injury, I highly recommend that you find someone who has worked with your injury in the past. I would recommend that you start with a couple privates. Yes, that could be a little bit expensive, but it's better for you to be safe and understand how to move your body in a class and modify for yourself. So I believe that it's brave and courageous to do what your body is able to do, not what like the teacher is saying to do. But if you're brand new, you won't know. And so it's just really important. So if you have some things are a little easier to work around, like an ankle thing, but if you have a back fusion or anything going on with your spine in any way, I highly recommend absolutely getting a private or two so that you can be equipped to be in those classes. But if you but what you'll notice is over time, not only does that injury not bother you, but you actually get injured less. Like I always talk about how I help people fall better. My goal is to balance your imbalances so that if you do miss a step, your body is able to think more quickly and you can land on your own 2 feet. So, but I think like I want to go back to that self-care thing you mentioned. I
Mm-hmm.
think we I think we wait until we're injured, or we wait until we're burned out, or we wait until it's too late to care for ourselves. And self care should be considered prevention and should also be a priority, because it is what allows us to actually be there for others. I see so many moms out there, so many partners out there, like literally put themselves third or fourth or fifth on the food chain of their life. And the reality is you're no good to anyone tired, stressed, and angry and exhausted and injured. You can't love the way that you would generously love if you actually had the energy, had poured into yourself first, had felt like you were strong enough to do the things you want to do.
I absolutely agree with that. And, this is like Alcoholics Anonymous. I admit it. So this is like my problem. And so, that's actually very helpful to me. And so I probably will start doing some Pilates because yeah, a lot of times we don't prioritize ourselves. We don't do self-care. This is a huge problem, especially for women.
Mm-hmm.
um, because we're, always trying to be super woman.
Well, we're considered. So if a woman takes care of herself, then she's selfish. She's like, she doesn't care about other people, and she only thinks of herself. If a dude,
Mhm.
like, how many TV shows did you grow up with where like the husband went off on the weekends and did things with their friends? You didn't see the wife go off and do something with her for herself. She was there taking care of the
Yeah.
kids. What is that? So they could go off and they can do things, and it's actually good for them. Oh my gosh, well they need to go and be with their no, ladies, we have to take care of ourselves too. It has to be a conversation with whoever your partner is. Hey, here are the things I need to have to fill my energy cup to do this week. What do you need? How do we schedule that in? Because if it's in the schedule and something comes up, you can reschedule it. You don't just like brush it off and push it off to tomorrow. It's like, well, actually, this was already in there at 10 a.m. So I could do it at 1, but I'm going to need such and such to happen from somebody else. Like we have to get if more of us are doing this, and it's less weird and it's actually more
Mhm.
strange if you're not taking care of yourself. And to go back to your like I'm NJ and I don't take care of myself. The reason I talk about this is because I got so sick it literally almost killed me not taking care of myself. And I think there's plenty of people out there who are barely getting by because they're,
Mhm.
oh, I got to care for my kids. Oh, I got to do this. Or what are people going to say? Oh, I don't have that kind of money. We have to get more resourceful and help people understand that not taking care of yourself doesn't have to be a spa day. It can be 15 minutes on the floor stretching.
Wow. This is awesome. And I hope everyone is really listening to this and taking it in, because it's a huge problem, like I said, and especially for women. So
Mhm.
definitely something to think about. So speaking of uh prioritizing self-care and all of that, you do these retreats. I
Yeah.
really like I saw like your video. I was like, I want to be where she is, like right now. Like it looks so relaxed.
Oh, we should do it. We
So
should go. Come with me. Yeah.
um,
So my husband wanted to go on a honeymoon. I asked him where he wanted to go on a honeymoon. I was like, where do you want to go? And he's like, I want to go to Cambodia. And I was like, okay. Is that near like a beautiful island somewhere? Cause this is like, I wasn't expecting Paris, but I was definitely expecting like a honeymoon. So anyways, his best friend lived there, and he had always seen the temples on like a National Geographic, like the first National Geographic he picked up had the temples of Siem Reap in there. And so he's like, yeah, absolutely, we can go on a little tour. And he was used to be a musician, so he had me on 9 flights in 14 days, 3 countries. We did the island, all the things. What's so hilarious is when we landed in Siem Reap, it was dark. It's like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and we're in this tuk-tuk. I haven't seen anything. I can just smell things. So, I'm like, I can see the jungle in the dark, but I can't. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like my soul is home. Like, I love
mm,
this place. He's like, you've seen nothing. I'm like, we are probably going to move here. This is like, he's like, I just got out of the
wow.
airport. Anyways, the next day we go on this amazing tour of the temples with this incredible guide. And I was like, can I bring like retreats here? Like what are the things? And he helped connect me to the right people. And a year later, we did our first retreat in Siem Reap, Cambodia. And
Wow.
I took all these people to these temples and they got to see this place. And it ended up becoming an annual thing. We got a house there so we could have, it's a 12-bedroom guest house so that we can have our own retreats at our own property. And what I love most about it is, um, I think women should travel more. And I think a lot of
Mm,
people get very scared to travel. Like they think, oh my gosh, like something could happen. And totally, yes. But I really do believe that when you get out of your comfort zone, that you learn so much about yourself and you get away from all the stuff. And then when you're 14 hours ahead of your time zone, the craziness at home cannot bother you because you're asleep
mm,
and they're awake. So you really get to get away and get closer to who you are and really realize like what you miss and what you want more of in your life. And so I do these retreats at my place in Siem Reap. We go to the temples, and when you're in front of these majestic, like some of these things are over 1,000 years old. That chatter in your head that's telling you a lie, it can't even exist because your brain is like, this is insane that this has been around for 1,400 years or whatever. And so it
wow.
really is this awesome thing that I get to do with people. And even though I've seen the temples like 8 or 10 times at this point, they never dull, they never get boring. They always catch my breath. And it's just so much fun to see the people that we take get out of their comfort zone and see it for the first time in their own eyes.
Plus, since you're not alone, since it's actual retreat and they're a group of people, I think that would kind of, I mean, to me, that solves that problem of kind of not wanting to, to go on your own.
Yeah,
I
yeah, you
think
could
that's
become a little
great.
family.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you guys have to see. I'm gonna put this website up here right now because you guys have to see this video. Oh, it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. It was so beautiful. I mean,
It's so
yeah,
beautiful there. It
I'm
really
I'm
is.
sitting there like, sign me up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
really nice.
actually, like we're only doing one retreat this year there, and at the time this is airing, like we are literally days away from opening up the doors. So if you are interested, just reach out to me because absolutely, like we don't take very many people because we do like it to be a family, and it is a, I love to say, it's like people say it's a once in a lifetime. I go there all the time, so it's less a once in a lifetime, but it is life changing in the best way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys go to the website. There. Go to the website. Check that out. Um, I may not make it, but somebody make it because
Someday,
it's
NJ, you're
lovely.
coming.
No, I actually do. I want to do something like that anyway, but I love when you kind of see places that you wouldn't necessarily think of as, quite that beautiful. I mean, really
Mhm.
breathtaking. And when you get to see them and you're like, oh my gosh. So that was kind of like that because I wouldn't have thought, Cambodia.
I
People like,
know.
I'm gonna go to Cambodia. No, I would not have done that. And I had somebody that I think it was Thailand
Mhm.
that they went to and they were showing pictures. And I mean, just gorgeous. Some of these places are so beautiful. So
They're
just to
so
be in a place
beautiful.
like that, and then just the very nature of what you're doing, which is kind of putting you in alignment, is, relaxing you, taking away probably pains, aches and pains that people have. Just that whole thing just sounds amazing. So
Mm. Yeah,
definitely,
thank you. It's so
definitely,
fun.
yes, yes, yes. Also, a part of what you do is you teach other people how to teach Pilates.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, yeah, tell us a little about that.
So that is an interesting thing. Back when I was becoming a Pilates instructor, it was actually really rare for a non-dancer to be in a training program, just because dancers were who Joseph Pilates worked with a ton. They were the people who spread the word about him. They like taught other dancers to become teachers. And here I was, like this, like ex-athlete. Hi, no grace. Um, and so it was very different for me than for the people who I had a dance background going into the industry, and I really wanted to be like a guide for those people who didn't have that background. And so way like probably in 20, I want to say it was 2012, I became a teacher trainer for a high-end fitness company. And then in 2016, when I left, I started just doing workshops. And so now I get to travel the world teaching people how to teach Pilates. And that is so fun because I'm on this mission, more bodies doing Pilates. It's such a great way to connect to yourself. You can do 5 minutes, you can do 30 minutes, you can do an hour, whatever you want. Right. But like, I believe that the more people who do Pilates, the more people they connect to themselves first, the more people who take care of themselves, the more world peace we have. If I can get more people to do Pilates, then like the people around me are kinder. And this is like, when I lived in LA and I'm like, all these people need to take care of themselves and this road rage that I've got them sitting around. Right. So, but
Mm.
here's the thing, like, not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay. Right. Not everyone will my story resonate with, and I don't speak every language. So we actually need more people all over the world teaching this amazing method. And so it's really fun for me to get to teach these teachers in Brazil and Korea and Poland and I'm
Oh,
Amsterdam. I've been, it's kind of Spain. I've been to Canada, like all these places, and allow them to teach the people that are in their areas, the people whose life they resonate with so much, and just to see what can end up happening. And also like creating careers for people. So now people can do something that feels more purposeful in alignment with what they want to do.
Wow, that is awesome. What a great mission.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. So on your website, because that was a little bit in the intro as well. On your website, explain to us how, I guess, how people can utilize your website as far as going there to maybe have a virtual class or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, back in 2017, I was traveling a lot. I was going to Australia and New Zealand, and my husband was like, you should really do some online classes so that your people who come to class can do something when you travel. Because what would happen is I would get a sub, they wouldn't go. Right? They wouldn't go because it wasn't their teacher. And I was like, you got to go because you're just affecting your body. It's not affecting me. This is actually like not good for you. But at any rate, he was like, well, if you just recorded some things and then they could just do that. And I thought, okay, well, the thing is that I truly believe in community. I think community helps hold people accountable to showing up for themselves. I think sometimes there are some people in this world who can show up for themselves, no problem. But the majority of people need some sort of accountability to show up for the thing that they wanted to do for themselves. And so
Yeah.
that's what's so great about an in-person class is that there's that community there that's holding you accountable. But also there's a shared experience. And I think nowadays people feel more lonely than ever, right? And so, but then you have this shared experience, then you can chat with like total strangers about, oh, I saw you in Monday's class. I'm gonna like, you just, oh, that one exercise was really hard. Like you have this way of like connecting with people, even if you're shy, even if you don't feel like you're good at it, right? So I wanted to figure out how do I take those two things that I think are the most important reasons to even go to a class and incorporate them into on demand. And so when we created my online pilatesclasses.com site, what we wanted to do is actually make sure that everyone's taking the same class. But I wanted them to have the convenience of taking it whatever time they wanted. So every Tuesday, we drop a new class, and that's the class for the whole week. So whether you live in Australia or England or in the States, and you live on MST or EST, you can take the class at a time that works for you. But you have a community you get to share. When you say this week's class, everyone knows what you're talking about. You don't have to say class number, blah, 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 right? Like I have a spin bike that's with one of the companies, and my friend goes, oh, did you take so and so's class? And I'm like, which one? The 20-minute, the 45-minute, this which one, right? So I really wanted to have that. And so when you go to onlinepilatesclasses.com, you actually pick a membership based on the equipment you have access to. And if you're brand new, there's an intro series you can do. And that intro series will get you ready for any all levels mat class out there. So whether or not you stick with me or you end up going in person, that intro series is going to help you go from 0 to 15 minutes of movement without taking a break. And that's key because Pilates has this nice flow. So when you go, you'll also see hundreds of free tutorials. So if you want to nerd out, you totally can do that. And you'll see a bunch of other like workshops and things like that we have for people.
Well, that's really great. And, with everything that has been going on, the pandemic and all of that, I'm sure people really took advantage of it then, but we're still virtual, a lot of us. And so that's a really great option
Yeah.
that people have. So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I always ask my guests, always ask my guests because it's been about a half an hour. So we're wrapping up, but I always ask my guests to give me about three things that you really want to leave my audience with before you get out of here.
Yeah.
Just, for them to chew on and think about.
Yeah. So perfect is so boring. So if you're holding yourself up to perfection standards, you're going to not only disappoint yourself, you're going to frustrate yourself, and you're actually never going to get the things done that you want to do. So ditch that. If you're having a hard time, you're like, yeah, Lesley, whatever. Da, da, da. Like think about your perfect friends. You don't even like hanging around them. Like you just don't. You're like, are my socks clean enough for this carpet? Like, where do I put my glass? Should I have like you're just so on edge. So just know that like people actually prefer you to be who you are, and you're gonna make mistakes and you learn from them. Second thing is self-care isn't selfish. We talked about it already, but if you need like another reminder, please, please, please make sure you're filling your cup first every single day. And if that means that you have to just like give 5 minutes of movement to yourself or 5 minutes of sitting still to yourself, please do that. It gets there. And then the last thing I would say is take messy action, right? Just take like Yes, maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to take Leslie's intro series. And then you keep putting off going to the site and buying it. Do not make that the barrier to entry. If you literally just look up a YouTube video and start doing an exercise, take the action. Just do one movement, right? Like get yourself going. Maybe you want to go start running again. Go for a walk around the block first. Just don't wait for the perfect day, right? Put on the coat. It's raining out. Put the umbrella up and walk. And know that sometime soon that walk will turn into a run. But if you are waiting for all the conditions to be ideal, you're going to be waiting for a really long time, and the world needs like more of you, not less of you. So thank you so much for letting me share all those things.
That's awesome. And those are great pieces of advice that you have left us. I kept hearing you say the perfect is boring. I actually love that because yeah, we try sometimes and it's, perfection. I only say perfection is it's just not meant for humans. I don't know.
No, no. And it's also
So
so contextual, and it's just, like, and as a recovering perfectionist, like I get that that's hard. But like
mhm.
the more you're like, oh, okay, well, I messed up there, and you move on, you'll be surprised how much time you save.
Very, very true. Thank you so much, Lesley. This has been great. A quick little, show on Pilates. And I've said the name correct the entire show. So I'm very proud of myself.
Proud of you.
But thank you so much for being on. I've learned quite a bit, and I'm going to be on your website myself.
Mm.
So I really appreciate everything that you shared with us today.
Thank you, and Jay, for having me.
No problem. And also, you have a podcast. So you guys check out Leslie's podcast. It's Be It
Till you
Till You
see it.
See It. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that name as well. So yes, go to the website, check all of that, the online courses, the podcast, everything out. It's really actually a very great website with a lot of things that you can get into.
Oh, well,
So
thank you.
yeah,
My husband will be so happy.
I guess this was his doing, huh? Okay. Well, there's a website. You guys check that out. Again, Lesley, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Well, you guys, another great show. And I thank my guest today, Miss Lesley Logan, talking about Pilates. And you guys check out the website again. It's right there. I'll leave it up there for a couple of more seconds. Check that out. It'll also be in the chat so that you can go ahead and click on that link and check the website out. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a great show. And until next time, you guys, stay boss.